church body for about a year now. And in that time, I've just had the privilege to get to know her really well, and she's become a really good friend. I'm so proud of her, so I'm really excited what she's going to share with us today. Gretchen, can you tell us a little bit about your childhood and what life was like maybe before Christ?
So my childhood was normal, a little chaotic. I was the product of a mixed family. I was the oldest, middle, youngest, only, and adopted child, depending on who I was with. I was baptized in the Lutheran Church in St. Joe, and I spent my summers playing t-ball, and I played for Coloma softball for many years until I had bilateral hip surgery. I spent my summers on the lake on our family boat with my older siblings.
So were you just a small town girl?
Living in a lonely world. My parents separated when I was about 8, but despite this, I had a great childhood and also got two more siblings out of the separation. Things started to change probably around the age 9. I was sexually assaulted by a neighbor. As I said, I had hip surgery, so that kind of depleted my softball career. I ended up cheering and dancing in high school after all that healed up, but my softball dream was gone. I was an honor student, made pretty good grades. I was able to go to Washington, D.C. and lay the wreath on the tomb of the unknown soldier, so that was a cool experience because I come from a strong military family. However, in 5th grade also, my dad was diagnosed with multiple myeloma, which is a blood cancer, and he fought that on and off for 10 years. And that brought a lot of, anguish and kind of separation. But high school, I went to a couple different churches, in the area. I would go to Road to Life, the Living Word in Coloma. However, then I was able to have a whole new freedom with the car and, manipulation of my parents' money. I could just swipe a card and everything was okay. I seemed to have it all together, but inside I knew that I really wasn't okay. And to make things worse, I got sexually assaulted again at 16. Yeah. So before I went into college, I found out about not being my dad's biological child. I was pretty sad. Obviously, somebody that I loved dearly and wanted to make proud. I felt like I didn't have that bond anymore. A lot of trust issues and codependency, I think, stemmed from that. And it changed who I was as a person.
Did it make you feel kind of like you didn't have a home? How did it change your thinking in that way?
Not really. I did, obviously, it just changed, the dynamic of who I thought I was and who I was yet to be. Kind of a loss of identity, per se. So I fast forward into 20s. I started experimenting with marijuana and alcohol, living recklessly. Started to binge drink, was at the local dive bar every weekend. I also experimented with a couple different drugs, and then I found my drug of choice in 2009. I was going to school for criminal justice at the time and nodding off in the courtroom. So, my father passed away in 2011. I ended up graduating from LMC in 2012 with high honors, and I was part of Phi Theta Kappa. My addiction continued, drinking, and I decided to get married in 2014. So we divorced 3 years later because of his lying and alcoholism.
So that's a lot. Thank you for that background. I think we're all curious to know, though, what brought you to your knees? What was that moment?
So I think 2020 with COVID brought a lot of addicts to their knees. So I secluded myself from anyone, my family, for about a year prior to COVID. And then I was reintroduced to my high school sweetheart in November of that year. It got really bad really fast, and found myself, down a rabbit hole that I couldn't get out of. I was able to go to rehab in California and get help, and I was able to come back, and I went straight back to seclusion. But I didn't keep my original sobriety clean date. I did have a relapse when I was in California, but I just look back at Joshua 9 and it says, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened. Do not be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go."
So how did you first come to First Church?
Well, I was going to a different fellowship, and I wanted to figure out what my higher power was because I was lost, and I didn't want to start my steps without knowing what a higher power was to me. Like I said, I've dabbled in many different types of Christianity, and I just couldn't find a home. I was brought to CR by a fellow member of another fellowship, and I'm so grateful that CR opened me with open arms, and I was invited to come to the service here. So 2 weeks after getting here, I decided that, my codependency would get the best of me, and I ended up going back to the man who brought me to rehab, and we ended up catching a felony together. I ended up losing my job at the Department of Corrections in Indiana, and so God wanted to put a little more test in my testimony. So since then, I've been completing my probation. I'm almost done. I'm putting that behind me, and I'm steadily creating new boundaries between, friends and family. I think that I've grown more in this past year than, it's just amazing what God has put in my life.
So Gretchen and I had that opportunity to sit down and talk about this before we decided to sit in front of you all. And you were sharing with me, there was just a moment when you really felt like you met Christ.
Yeah, so I was sitting back where Pam's at right now, and I was just, it was a typical Sunday morning, and worship just brought me to my knees, and I was like, it was probably like mid-March, and I was like, wow, this is real, like God is real, God is moving in this room, and it was just so surreal to feel that love from him.
Yeah. And it wasn't anything really in particular, he just grabbed you, right? Yeah, that's awesome. So what is your life like now, and how has your life changed?
So in July, I participated in the Lake Michigan baptism. Currently, I am doing a 10-week Bible study with some wonderful ladies from blended campuses at the St. Joe campus. I am actively worshiping and coming to CR every week, and I am now entered in my first step study. I definitely have a lot more peace in my life these days. I'm learning how to speak to God and have conversations with God and asking for His will and not mine. I've been so egotistical in the past that it just leaning on my own understanding hasn't gotten me very far in life. So, even on the days when I don't love me, I know that my church family loves me.
Amen.
And God has been working with me in my mental illness, and I He's there and he's good.
Amen. Any thoughts you want to leave us with?
So I put Ephesians 4:22-24. It states, "So get rid of your old self, which made you live as you used to. The old self that was being destroyed by its deceitful desires. Your hearts and minds must be made completely new, and you must put on the new self, which is created in God's likeness and reveals itself in true life that is upright and holy." So I will continue to make room for Jesus Christ in my life, for him to do the things that he needs to do, to change the way I think. I know that he's marvelous in all of his ways. And I will continue to learn about you and honor you. Your followers and I here in this community, we've accepted that you've died on the cross for us. There's a reason why we say welcome home at First Church, because of this very foundation that I sit upon. I'm home.
Amen. Thank you, Gretchen, for sharing with us. And she said, don't stop believing. Hold on to that feeling.